You are now locked in to the Beyond the Hashtag podcast.
#BTHPOD.
Welcome back, guys, to Beyond the Hashtag episode 15. You're joining us in part 2 with Kevin Wright, footballer for what's the word again? What's the name again? I don't want to say the English word.
Told you last week, bro.
I don't want to say Orebro because I know.
Yeah, that's it. Orebro.
Orebro. Oh yeah, you said like Iron Brew. Yeah.
Orebro. You said the hell of Ghanaian. You said.
Hey, listen, heritage. Yeah, and obviously Sierra Leone as well. Tune into our episode last week. If you missed it, we spoke about Kevin's heritage, playing for Sierra Leone, the racism experiences of the England players at Euro 2020, but versus the joy and passion that he has for playing for Sierra Leone, and a bit about your degree and stuff as well, that journey. So yeah, if you guys missed part 1, go check it out now, be in the description below, and yeah, subscribe to stay tuned for more episodes. But today we're gonna speak about you guys, basically the questions that you guys sent in about sort of Kevin's career so far, different experiences he's had regarding potential racism and what other things he might have seen and heard. But yeah, this is episode for you guys. You guys sent in a bunch of different questions. Honestly, like when I asked like earlier in the week about I'm doing a podcast with a current footballer who did play for Chelsea and plays for Sierra Leone, and like people didn't even have to know your name, but people just like question, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, thank you guys for sending your questions. Anyone who missed that, make sure you're following us on our socials. The links are all in the description, and so you can stay up to date, or you can fire us questions anytime, but there'll be specific times when I ask you guys to send in questions for the episode. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed and followed on the socials to get involved in that. But we'll kickstart with more of the lighter stuff, so the actual football side of things. Obviously, being in Chelsea's academy, how long were you first of all like in the Chelsea academy for? Because I just remember from school, like you were just always at Chelsea.
Yeah, I was in Chelsea I got scouted when I was 10, so I went on a 6-week trial there. So I signed when I was 10 years old, and I went all the way till I was 20.
Nah, solid, bro. So first question, I guess, sticking with Chelsea, comes from Jeff Mensah. He says, who's the most underrated player that you've played with or against in your time at the Chelsea Academy?
Most underrated? That's very easy for me. It's a guy called Jeremy Boga.
Oh, I know Jeremy Boga,
Yeah, he plays in Sassuolo right now.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff this guy used to do in trade,
fake. Yeah,
it's fake. His dribbling is ridiculous. Obviously I think he played one game for the first team at Chelsea. Now he's in Sassuolo. He's been doing a madness in Sassuolo for the last 2 years. So I feel like only time will tell when he's playing in one of the big teams.
Yeah.
But let's go with Jeremy Boga.
Yeah, I remember him from like Youth Cup days when he was he was doing dumb things, man.
Yeah. It was ridiculous. But I think Jeremy, but he's still doing his thing still, but I think it's only a matter of time still will be at.
Nah, solid. Next question from another listener, Abdullah. He says, are there any Chelsea graduates sort of from your time in the academy who you think actually didn't get a fair chance, or thought that or someone that everyone thought was going to make it and they kind of didn't for whatever reason?
So you're talking about players that didn't make it?
A bit of both actually. So maybe so players that didn't make it, but it might be for different reasons. So it might be they didn't make it because of maybe themselves, and you can see that, or they didn't make it because like the managers, people felt didn't give them a fair chance.
I can't really say specifically, but I feel like obviously at the time I was at Chelsea, the academy, it was a culture where not many players made it to the first team. Yeah. I think before I think Ruben Loftus-Cheek, it was John Terry was the player that made it to the first team. Now, obviously, I think Frank Lampard came in. Many players got the opportunity. You got the Mason Mounts, you got the Reece James, Tammy Abraham. You got a lot of people that got the opportunity. But I feel like, my generation growing up, the academy was more of a place where you develop as a player and you end up in another team as a professional footballer. You get your trade from Chelsea, then you end up elsewhere. But obviously now I feel like the culture has changed. So I feel like, yeah, it was many players back then that didn't get the opportunity to get to the first team.
Just on that, actually, we had a few questions about, I guess, Chelsea's like system and stuff. So one came from one of our listeners, Kenny, and then another one from listener David. Stuff about, I guess, the Chelsea's like loan system and how it kind of made you feel. And then our listener Abdullah asked another question about when, for example, you came out of the Chelsea system, like how helpful were they in, like, I guess, finding you another club and progressing your career after that. So I guess two questions. One, how did you guys from the inside see the Chelsea loan system? Obviously, you mentioned that it was, I guess, the academy system was kind of growing you guys as players, and then you kind of apply your trade elsewhere. And the second part of the question will be, how much did Chelsea help you personally?
I feel like with Chelsea, it was a weird one because growing up in Chelsea, and this is for me and a lot of the players, Chelsea was all we had known. So in terms of Chelsea, it's like you're a little bit spoiled, you know. Everything is so professional. You got the best coaches, you got the best training grounds, you got the best food. Like you're going in for breakfast. There's pancakes, there's waffles.
Yeah,
you know, not bacon. Don't eat pork around here.
Yeah,
it's different. Amazing things, you know. So I feel like growing up in Chelsea, you don't appreciate it as much until you leave the academy. When you go to abroad or you go lower leagues, and that's when you really appreciate it. So I feel like growing up in the academy, obviously I can't speak for everyone else, but me, I was in a bit of a bubble. I didn't really appreciate what I had.
Yeah.
In terms of improving, in terms of the facilities. So I feel like it's only when you leave the academy you really realize how much you can take out of the academy in terms of improving yourself as a player, you know, because you got everything for you. You got the best physio. If you want to analyze your game, you can go to the analyzing room. If you want to improve your technique, you got like a little box you can do passing. You got the best gym. So it's just a thing where it's only till you leave where you really see how good the academy is.
And yeah, the second part of the question was touching on when you are leaving. So how much support did Chelsea give you when you actually left the academy? Did you go straight to Carlisle or did you go somewhere before that?
Nah, obviously I was injured. So the help I got from Chelsea, I got so much help, to be honest. Can't fault them one bit. It's a thing where, because I've been there for so long and I built good relationships with the academy manager, Neil Bath, and the coaches. Even like anytime I needed to go back after to get training, or if I was injured, to see my physio Simon, they welcome me with open arms, you know. I feel like it's a thing where even now, like if I needed something, or I needed advice or I needed extra training, I can always go there and they'll always welcome me. Feel at home. So I feel like it's a thing where, when their players leave, they do look after their players, to be fair.
No, that's good. No, that's really good to hear. A couple more on like the football and Chelsea side. One deep one, and then we'll end on a bit of a lighter one. The deeper one comes from David, and he says, do you, from personal experience, think that you can make it as a footballer to the top level just through kind of your, other than the standard like talent and hard work, but through kind of your contacts and the people that you know, even if your skills aren't, let's say, as, you know, you're not like Ronaldinho or Messi, but you're like still at a decent level, but like it's the negotiations and contacts that push you through. And on the flip side, do some players fail just because, like, I don't know, maybe an agent didn't bust them here or there, that kind of thing? Like, does that kind of thing happen? Because it happens in the real world, basically, but does it happen in like the football?
No, I think definitely. Feel like with the football, at the end of the day, it's a business.
Yeah.
So sometimes certain agents will have better connections with certain teams. So at the end of the day, if a club is working with a certain agent and it's out of two players, one of the players is better than the other, but the other one's got the agent that works more close to the club.
Yeah,
it's inevitable that that person's gonna get the contract.
yeah. So
yeah, definitely these things happen. I feel like football's a lot to do with networking and placing yourself in the right places.
Yeah.
You know, it's a ruthless game. It's a ruthless game. At the end of the day, instead of sitting and complaining about the system, you need to make the system work for you.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? You gotta make it. Just gotta make it happen. Like if there's a club you want to go to, and you know your agent is dead, or your agent hasn't got the connect for that club, work with the other agent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like, yeah, definitely these things do happen. But you just gotta be ruthless, and you can't be naive in this football world.
Yeah. No, it's mad. It's mad to hear the parallels actually with the like other side, or I guess like, so let's say us people in the business world, that kind of thing happens all the time. You hear all the time about networking and, you know, having to, I don't know, you might have to go to like a corporate lunch, or you might have to like stay for like a beer with your boss after work, just so you can like make that connection, and then eventually that might get you a promotion or a thing to a new job. Like,
You got to start laughing at jokes and that. Yeah. Was it?
Yeah, nice. It's mad. It's just mad how, especially in the Western world, actually, it's mad how things work.
Yeah. Also, with the Chelsea as well, it's a thing where many, obviously, academy coaches, in the long run, they turn out to be first team coaches of various teams, you know, abroad, whether it's in League One. So it's a thing where if you're there and the manager remembers you as a good player, you had a good relationship with him, you could obviously potentially get an opportunity.
Yeah, like he might try to sign you. So if you're like in Chelsea's academy, you had a Chelsea coach, now he's like a League One manager, he might think, oh yeah, this guy I worked with him in the academy, so let me bring him in. Then Nah, cool. Last question on the football side of things, a bit of a more funny one, comes from Matt Dix, who actually you played with. I don't know if you remember, you played with him at Essex County level. I don't know if the name rings a bell. I might show the face afterwards, but he asked the question. He was basically saying, have you got a crazy or funny story from your footballing experience, in terms of, it might be the dressing room, it might be like, I don't know, with people on the plane, it might be fans, I don't know, like, but any funny experience. If I had to think of one for you, it would be, you know, the video where you're dancing for the Chelsea first team players, and you got like John Terry and all them, man. But just from any funny story that sticks to mind from just any dressing room you've been in, or any fan experience.
I feel like Chelsea days, we used to have the funniest experiences, to be fair. Like the changing room was very active. You know, obviously I can't go into details of all of it, but stories. But when it was in Chelsea Academy, we used to have this game. And the game was called skipping.
Okay.
We used to call it skipping, and that was a game where a skip is where you put all the kit, put all your dirty clothes, and boom, and there used to be a big skip in the middle of the change room. It was called skipping. Like we would all plan before, one person is getting skipped today.
What?
Do you know what I mean? Just random.
Well, as does that mean chucking them into the skip, or is that?
Yeah, someone's getting skipped today.
Okay.
After the training, we start saying skip, and grab the person, literally everyone. So there'll be about 12 man on one person.
That's mad.
Trying to pick them up, and obviously at the start, holding it down, and then everyone's grabbing. But after a while, if it's your time to get skipped, you're getting skipped.
You're getting skipped.
You know?
That's mad.
People take a snap of it and then go from there.
You ever been skipped?
In the academy, you used to have many crazy stories.
You ever get skipped?
Yeah. I get skipped. I can't get skipped. Okay. Like I said, no one's above getting skipped. If it's your time to get skipped, you'll get skipped.
No one's above getting skipped. Remember that. If you don't remember anything from this, remember you can get skipped anytime.
I'm with
quickly. Cool. We'll move on to a couple questions about again, any personal experiences of maybe discrimination or any insight you could potentially give in the football world for other people that you might have seen. So we'll start off with actually Sweden and Scandinavia in general. So loads of questions here, people from listeners such as Dom Abdella, James Innocent, and Jeff, basically asking how did you see the Scandinavian world, so like Norway and Sweden, before you moved there? How much did you consider racism when you moved there versus your experience now, as in what you've seen since you've been there, and how, like, yeah, what have you kind of experienced since you've been there?
In terms of places like Sweden, Sweden and Norway, before I went there, I didn't really know much about the country, but I never Sweden as a racist country. I know places like Russia or Bulgaria.
Yeah.
Like that's the places I saw. Like these places, when I go there, it's gonna be mad. Like Poland, like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, I got friends that play in these countries, and they've told me about prior experiences of racism. But being in the country, no, I haven't really experienced any blatant racism. Do you know what I mean? Any like attacks or things like that.
To be fair, I think a lot of Scandinavian countries are often quite diverse. First of all, you said they're quite reserved anyway, so even that experience is quite a random one. But they often seem to be quite diverse, forward thinking, that kind of thing. And I think in a lot of countries you get just random crazy people who could just jump out and do random things. But it's good to hear that like you personally haven't had any like direct experiences of abuse. And then just sticking with that, have you, even not in terms of abuse, but have you seen any examples, let's say, of systematic racism? So you say, let's say in the UK, for example, we know there's a lot of systematic racism, whatever industry you kind of fall into, where like, you know, white people helping white people and sort of not giving black people certain opportunities. But how have you felt that as compared in like Sweden and Norway since you've been there?
I think two things come to mind. I feel like one of them is the way I feel like black people, obviously they just need to be extra careful with the way they act in and around the changing room and around certain situations.
Yeah.
Because I feel it's very easy for black people to be labelled, black players to be either labelled as like the lazy one or the one who's got attitude. He's got attitude
quickly.
Quickly, which like you can do one thing and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, this guy he thinks he's the man, like he thinks he's that guy.
Yeah.
But attitude. So I feel like just from young, that's one thing I've learned. Like the way I act, I've always got to try always be proper, because I know people's opinions can change quickly.
Yeah.
Just obviously based on the color of my skin. In terms of systematic as well, like just sometimes like when I had a car, like when I was driving around,
at
least they would just stop me. Like
even in Sweden, yeah.
Like so I'll be driving and they'll stop and ask, where you going? Like boom, boom, boom. Do you know? Just things like that. But obviously I'm used to that stuff, innit?
Yeah. But still, man, it's still crazy that stuff still happens, and it happens to all of us, you know, getting stopped and searched and all that kind of thing around. So it's man, it's still like tough to hear that you basically wherever we go, especially in the Western world, like them kind of things like still happen. Still, like you can't even the thing about like people changing people's perceptions of you like straight away, like even that, like I've got to basically tiptoe around, and I basically can't be myself because like if I do one thing wrong, or if my voice goes a couple of decibels louder, they're gonna think that you know I'm on something that I'm not. Like it's crazy.
But the thing is, I'm always, regardless of the situation, I'm gonna always be myself. I just know like what will come with it, but I'm ready to deal with. I'm ready to deal with what happens. Do you know what I mean? But like, even like, say like I was giving, like if I'm giving advice to like black people, like black trialists, for example, tell them like, like we'll speak to each other, and I told him like, bro, like, you know what these are on, like, so just careful in it, but it's just crazy, innit? Like, I feel like you can only understand it if you experience it, you know, which a lot of us do, innit? So
no, but and that's what I guess people like us are trying to convey to, you know, there's white people or Asian people who listen to this podcast who maybe don't experience as much of the racism on and what we speak about is not an abuse thing, it's more like a underlying thing that you can't really see, obviously. So again, until you experience it, but that's why, you know, this kind of platform is here, and these stories I'm putting out there to kind of get people to understand the perspective and what happens in real life. So yeah, bro, that's it. Thank you for bringing that to the table. So yeah, just sticking with Chelsea, obviously you didn't experience any racist abuse or felt any oppression sort of during your time there. So just to clarify, you didn't feel like anyone was sort of discriminated against, and you didn't, even with the fans, because like fans have had incidents of racist abuse in Chelsea, but you didn't feel any of that negativity coming, you know, as a academy player there.
No, not really. I feel like we had quite a diverse team, you know. There was quite a lot of black players, there was a few white players. So in terms of direct racism, no, we didn't experience that in the academy. I feel like everyone was treated fairly, and we all had the opportunity to progress.
No, sorry, bro. It's good to hear. Good to hear. Last couple of questions we'll round up. Obviously, you just had the Euros. So, firstly, who are you backing in the Euros before it started and before Italy won? Did you have anyone?
You did, I think, would win. Personally, I thought France was gonna win. Like many people.
Yeah.
But France, they let me down, you know.
Yeah.
To be honest. After that, I wanted England to win. I wanted England to win, but I had the instinct that Italy was gonna take it, which they did.
Yeah. No, Italy, to be fair, they were solid from the start, so I couldn't even complain at them winning. Did you play with any of the Chelsea boys in the academy, or were they were younger than you, like Mount, James?
Yeah. Like I played with Reece James a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, no one else, to be fair.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So yeah, a couple of questions related to Euro 2020. One comes from Matt Billington, who asked on the Insta. So do you remember Denzel Dumfries playing for Holland? I think he's like a right mid or right back black guy. He played for Holland at the Euros. Yeah. So Matt's question was basically relating to him being described as a powerhouse and a freight, like a basically a running train, and basically ignoring his other abilities. Like, I didn't even hear it personally, and I'm sure you probably didn't even hear it. But when you hear of like a black player like basically doing well at the Euros, and the first thing they're describing him as is like a powerhouse and like running through the team like a train, like how does that description immediately kind of like make you feel when like even you, I guess, like you're a left back, so like even if let's say you make a darting run, do something blah blah blah, and the first thing commentators say, oh, Kevin Wright he's a powerhouse, you know, like even though you might have just not made a certain man and done this and that, but the first thing is like powerhouse.
Wow. I think it's unacceptable. It's a violation.
Yeah.
To be fair. Yeah, I feel like obviously as black players, we got obviously many different qualities. Obviously, because our physique, we're blessed. We're normally fast. We're normally the strongest. But obviously, that's not our only thing. You know, that's not the only thing we bring to the table. So I feel like obviously I didn't watch too much of Holland, so I don't know how he played. But I feel like if he was good on the ball, he was techie, he was fast. I feel like that should be brought forward as well.
Yeah.
And if he was fast and he was a powerhouse, that as well.
They say that,
He was, but obviously you can't just be just about his physique, you know. I feel like that's not on.
Yeah, and even the intelligence thing, bro. Like there's so many positions on the pitch that you need to have so much like good football intelligence. And I think I can't even remember. I think he's a right back or either a right wing back, but like he was getting goals. I think he scored like a good 2 or 3 goals at the Euros. So like to have the intelligence to make certain runs, like that kind of thing, like is you know, you need to have a good football brain to do that. So the first thing being described, like having your power being described, is just it's typical of black people sometimes well, black people against them in the media kind of thing, which is it's annoying to hear. Final question from Babs on the Insta was, do you think UEFA have found out the hard way that it's basically hard to separate politics from sport? I kind of spin that into like the Euros in general. Like people try to say that don't mix politics with sport kind of thing, but like when players taking the knee, and there was even protests of there was like Hungarian supporters who were protesting against people taking the knee. There was like Germany who wanted to wear the LGBTQ plus armbands, that kind of thing. So like politics was very much merged into this last tournament, even though like UEFA and a lot of the people tried to keep it out of it. So I don't know how much of that you saw and how much of a thought you have on, I guess, the mix between politics and sport, whether that be like the knee or just bringing certain topics onto the football world in general.
Yeah, I feel like, like you said, a lot of people say you shouldn't mix politics and sports. But me, I'm the opposite of that. I feel like sports is a platform to bring forward your beliefs and be who you want to be. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of players, they have big platforms and they have big followings and they have big influences. So I feel like if you stand for something and you believe in something, whether it's racism, whether it's something else, that's the best time to bring it forward. You know, you always get criticism, you always get people with different opinions, but at the end of the day, you need to, I feel like as footballers, we need to do things with our chest, you know, because at the end of the day, we have an influence and we have a responsibility to stand up for what we stand for. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? We're not going to please everyone. We're not going to make everyone happy. Everyone always has opinions about you, which will be negative. But at the end of the day, I feel like football is just a game. Do you know what I mean? Just football. So if you believe in something, mix it. Yeah. Me, I'll definitely mix it. If I believe in something, I'm gonna mix it. No one's gonna tell me nothing, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna be me. Like, these people don't pay me. Yeah. These people pay me. These people don't. These people didn't birth me. Yeah. So you need to just do things with your chest and stand by it, which I think is. I feel like a lot of players are starting to really do that now.
Yeah, no, big time. That's a powerful note to end it on, bro. Even with the social media and we've seen like the kind of power that like you guys, you and all your football colleagues like have, and it's good to see and it's refreshing, because that's the influence that you'll have on other people, and you know you have the platforms to bring it out there with that social media, coming on podcast shows, etc. Like that's what we want to try and do for our people and to carry on through the generations to come. So yeah, bro, we're gonna wrap it up. So I want to thank you for coming on the pod. I've proper enjoyed this discussion, man. Like literally just firstly catching up, but secondly like just hearing about your experiences, like hearing what you've had to say like about certain topics, like I'm sure the listeners have probably appreciated like the insights you've given to them. So I just wanted to say a massive thank you for coming on, bro.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
No, good. Yeah, so guys, remember to like if you're on the YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube and the Spotify, all that good stuff. Give Kevin a follow. I'll put his details in the description below on the Insta. And yeah, just tune in to our future Beyond the Hashtag episodes to keep breaking the chains of discrimination one goal at a time. Peace and blessings, guys.
Hashtag BTHPOD.